This is a request for J. Willis series. Item number SCP-2815, threat level green, object class Euclid. SCP-2815 designates an anomalous, endogamous community comprising the majority of the inhabitants of the village of Hevez County, Hungary. Of the village, 367 inhabitants, 95% Hungarian, 5% Roma, about 80% are genetically related, belonging to one large extended family sharing the surname, or only the local Roma community and a few other Hungarian households lack genetic relations to the family. Identity within SCP-2815 is strongly linked to the idea of shared ancestry. Kinship ties are reinforced by having members of SCP-2815 interbreed with distant relatives in order to maintain a more closely related community in accordance with their beliefs. Heavy restrictions are placed on exogamous unions, with only one such union allowed every fifth generation for any given bloodline. Community members, henceforth referred to as SCP-2815-1, possess an ability to intuitively and accurately determine the degree of inbreeding among one another, which is used to define social position according to perceived genetic purity. Very few instances of -1, fewer than 3%, have been shown to possess non-debilitating physical deformities. These individuals do, however, seem to play prominent roles in the spiritual life of SCP-2815. Though outwardly portraying themselves as moderately devout Roman Catholics, investigations have revealed the community to be practicing a religion derived from Hungarian paganism, displaying a high degree of syncretism with a heterodox variety of sarcasm. The few members displaying physical deformities, commonly polydactyly, severe hyperdontia, caudal appendage, heterochromia, albinism, are given the status of Taltos, henceforth referred to as SCP-2815-2, a role for which they begin training as early as the age of 5 or 6, in accordance with Hungarian pagan tradition. Belief in the efficacy of magical rituals is widespread and reinforced by -2 instances, ritual display of anomalous abilities, which play a central role in many rituals. These abilities are widely believed by SCP-2815 to be directly tied to their physical deformities and have been shown to include remote viewing, retrocognition, limited precognition, flesh crafting, anomalous healing, sensory and emotional projection, conversion of bodily fluids to gaseous or solid states, as well as remote control of horses. The main application of these abilities seem to be as a form of alternative medicine. Religious practices include a mixture of Hungarian pagan and common Sarkic rites and rituals, and while it has never been observed, there may have been mentions of slow slicing. Display contextual information. SCP-2815 instances display a surprisingly low rate of physical deformities and other birth defects otherwise associated with inbreeding, despite the fact that most families have been continuously endogamous for over a century. In fact, the population is shown to be uncommonly healthy, a fact that has attracted the attention of the scientific community. Several studies have been published on the subject by geneticists, most of which were performed by the prolific Hungarian anthropologist Nemiszkeri János. The cause behind this incoherence is believed to be anomalous in nature. Cosmologically, SCP-2815 believed the world to be divided into 3 realms. The upper realm being the abode of Isten and good spirits, believed responsible for rain, sunlight, luck, and other positive attributes. The nether realm, residence of Urdog, a malignant deity who issues challenges to humans in the form of pests, disease, war, and disasters as a form of winnowing. And the middle world where humans reside. These 2 deities created the world in unison. Theological focus centers around subverting the suffering caused by Urdug for the benefit of human beings, turning the middle realm into a paradise. Sermons reference a Grand Karcist Ion, considered their prophet, whom SCP-2815 aimed to reincarnate through selective breeding, believing that he will ultimately usher in an era of health and harmony through teaching humanity how to embrace the healing sicknesses. Rituals and sermons are held in an, as of yet, undeciphered language. This language has been identified by Foundation linguists as ostensibly Uralic, with prominent Finnic features, a Hungarian substrate, and elements from an unknown language that our linguists have given the provisional name Glossachaos. The name of this faith among its adherents has been recorded as Oz-e, or sometimes Nielke. Foundation linguists have therefore dubbed the language Ihish. This language has been identified to be nearly identical to that spoken within the Hungarian-based esoteric Order of the White Worm, GOI 0385. This would link SCP-2815 to both GOI 0385 as well as the numerous isolated proto-Sarkic communities in the Carpathian Mountains, suggesting a common origin among the Solomonari cults of medieval Hungary. A particular note is the rite of passage into adulthood, which is performed at 23 for female and 26 for male individuals, while intersex individuals, on account of being considered -2 instances, receive theirs after the first sign of puberty. It centers around the consumption, read swallowing, or implantation of an external organ or biological organism referred to by adherents as akloka and by clergy as akolosists. These have been identified by Foundation experts as instances of SK biotype Z. It is presumed that this organ is what allows -1 instances to sense and determine the purity of one another. Information restricted to Level 3 personnel and above. Level 3 clearance verified. Access granted. A notable difference lies in the inflation ritual for -2 instances, for which the SK biotype Z is grown inside a horse. The horse is then ritually slaughtered, removing most internal organs, including the notably deviant type Z specimen, which are then consumed by -2. Afterwards, the horse's wounds are sewn shut. Finally, -2 places one hand on it and maintains that position for approximately 10 minutes, after which the horse reanimates. The horse will then follow -2 around for the rest of the latter's life, claimed by SCP-2815 to aid it in its rituals. These horses are designated SCP-2815-3 and appear to work as extensions of their specific instances of -2. -3 instances have been observed to consume organic matter, specifically animal tissue, which they later regurgitate as a viscous organic substance, designated SCP-2815-4, similar in form and composition to that recorded in SCP-2217, Incident 2217-14. -4 has been observed being used by -2 to treat injuries and repair damage to buildings and other inanimate objects. This is accomplished by -2 transmuting it into the desired material. As explained by one instance of -2, a limitation of -4 is that any given instance can only be transmuted into one substance. Agent Ballot was discreetly able to contain a small sample of -4. Sample was subsequently delivered to Site-66 for further analysis. The test performed at Site-66 returned results showing the tissue to be saturated with NN-dimethyltryptamine, NN-DMT, presumed to be a product of the local divergent SK biotype Z grown inside -3. It is assumed that the NN-DMT serves a similar purpose as it has in SCP-2480, revealing anonymously hidden features that are invisible to the naked eye or mundane recording equipment. Samples taken from -1-A, saliva, hair, nails, skin, blood, have not yielded any traces of NN-DMT, confirming that this is a unique property to -2. Addendum 1. On the 13th of May 2015, Agent Below recorded the following part of a sermon preceding a cannibalistic funeral rite. The sermon was followed by the consumption of the deceased instance, designated SCP-2815-1B, Agent Below was politely denied from participating on account of him lacking an SK biotype Z, though he was allowed to remain and observe. Following the conclusion of the ceremony, Below reported noticing gradual behavior changes in his partner, Ivedy. SCP-2815-1A, which intensified over the course of the following 3 days. The changes, though minor, were noticeably similar to those of -1B, the deceased instance which had consumed. -1A has since been reported recounting memories specific to -1B. The exact number and extent of these memories is unknown, but presumed to be limited. According to -1A, as relayed to by Agent Below, the purpose of the inbreeding practice is to distill the gene pool by weeding out non-sarkic, non-ancestral material and increasing its ancestral purity. Incestuous procreation and funerary endocannibalism are both believed to contribute to this. SCP-2815 believes the end result to be an individual pure enough that it would constitute an earthly reincarnation of their prophet, Grand Karcist Ion, who would then unite all of humanity and usher in a golden age. Were it to succeed, it would at best cause an SK class dominant shift scenario, following the narrative, and at worst, an XK class end-of-the-world scenario, following mainstream Sarkic narratives. Due to the deviant nature of SCP-2815 and its beliefs from other Sarkic groups, the likelihood of such an event remains in doubt and is considered implausible. Information restricted to Level 4 in Citra Acra personnel. Citra Acra, credentials verified. Access granted. Addendum 2. Possible involvement of GOI 0385. On the 16th of May 2016, Agent Kolumpar relayed information concerning an unfamiliar veteran car having entered cited by one of the Roma inhabitants. The car was reported present in the village by all 4 agents posted there over the course of the following week. Agent Below reported having seen the proprietor of the vehicle, identifying him as Palbarthadi Udun, assigned the designation POI 563, a mid-ranking member of the Esoteric Order of the White Worm, GOI 0385. Agent Below never interacted directly with POI 563 and was unable to certainly determine its purpose, though it can be assumed that POI 563's and its GOI's interest in the village is directly related to SCP-2815, and in particular instances of -2. It is feared that any active involvement of GOI 0385 with SCP-2815 may alter SCP-2815 breeding program sufficiently enough to result in an XK class end-of-the-world scenario. Containment protocols have been updated following this report to account for the involvement of GOI 0385. As of the 24th of October 2016, POI 563 has revisited SCP-2815 exactly 19 times. In a few of these instances, he was seen accompanied by what are presumed to be additional members of GOI 0385. Agent Below, who has now reportedly met POI 563 several times, has detailed its efforts to recruit SCP-2815 into GOI 0385 or request for a live specimen of -2. Leading members of SCP-2815 have continuously refused these requests and have at best shown disinterest in GOI 0385. Due to SCP-2815's seemingly isolationist attitude towards other Sarkic cults, it has been deemed a low-level threat by SCP-2815 head researcher Dr. Hidekuti Lajos. This reclassification is currently under review by Citra Acra personnel. Addendum 3. SCP-2815-5. Following a ceremony on the 3rd of November 2016, Agent Below noticed an instance of -2 enter a tree in the gardens of Ivadi Manor. The instance was reported as disappearing behind a fold in the trunk, though subsequent investigations have revealed no such features. None of the -1 present at the ceremony reported being able to perceive the aperture through which -2 had entered. According to local legend, only the Taltos can ascend the sky-reaching tree. This is consistent with Hungarian mythological narratives, as the locals refer to it. The tree appears to the naked eye as an old specimen of Juglans regia, common walnut tree. And although visually inconspicuous, Kafka encounters return readings of Ca 50 Humes in close proximity, leading to speculations that an active extra-dimensional portal may exist somewhere on the surface of the tree trunk. The tree, along with the presumed portal and extra-dimensional space, have been given the designation -5. On the advice of Dr. Narviz, Dr. Hideguchi has scheduled an expedition to be carried out by members of MTF Psi-13 witch hunters under the influence of N-dimethyltryptamine. The goal will be to ascertain the anomalous nature of -5 and, if possible, gain access to its presumed extra-dimensional space. Expedition was dispatched and concluded on the night of... No hostilities were encountered. All the following objectives were achieved. 1. Locate -5 and ascertain its anomalous nature. 2. Gain entry to, explore, and map the extra-dimensional space linked to -5. 3. Gather samples and materials from -5 for research purposes. All materials harvested from the -5 have since been provided the designation -6. Laboratory report SCP-2815-6 test results. Fruit from -5, henceforth -6A, were subjected to genetic tests to determine origin and composition. Tests were performed on samples taken from each fruit, including peels, flesh, juice, stems, arils, and seeds. Tests returned results showing fruits to be composed of a wide variety of DNA, including human and other non-plant material. Although each individual fruit varied as to the ratios between different genes, there was no identifiable pattern with regards to species of fruit. All fruits were found to contain all genes of every species ever recorded in Hungary since the 16th century. All D-class tests performed have yielded results showing no direct negative effects. The blood and organs collected from -5, henceforth -6B, were also tested. All results returned showed specimens to be genetically 100% human material. Blood types varied but included an unusually prominent amount of otherwise rare blood types. All organs appeared to be in a healthy state, excepting tissue degradation since removal from -5B. Experiments with organ replacement on D-class subjects showed increased performance of all -6B instances compared to their original counterparts. Test subjects reported feeling healthier and more wholesome. All construction materials, henceforth -6C, especially the wooden materials, were scrounged for traces of organic matter, which similarly underwent genetic testing whenever applicable. All wooden materials were shown to consist of a mixture of human and equine genetic material, whereas all inorganic materials contain considerable traces of biological matter of the same makeup. One of our graphic artists has also been able to produce an approximate replica of the flag observed by FT Delta 4 during Expedition Psi-13 2815 1612-1, which I have included in this report. According to the reports that we have received from Agent below, SCP-2815 regularly transports -6 in bulk out of town once a substantial enough amount has been collected. Major Obrenovich's other field agents have further witnessed -6 sold at various farmers' markets throughout the country, including major urban centers such as Budapest, Debrecen, Miskolc, and Nyíregyháza, and donated to a wide variety of private households and local charities. Obrenovich has notified me that according to a certain retrieved document, at least one shipment of -6 has been confirmed to be in possession of the Mana Charitable Foundation. Conclusively, the singular most important note in these discoveries is that, for all intents and purposes, SCP-2815 seems to be utilizing -5 and their anomalous skills and resources for explicitly benign purposes. Major Abrenovic has argued for armed intervention and possible termination, believing SCP-2815 to be using live humans in the creation of -6. While I honestly cannot fault him for being suspicious considering the Sarkite's overall track record, neither can I accept nor condone his requests. We cannot simply purge an entire community based on circumstantial evidence and mere conjecture, especially considering the good these people do. A lot of Hungary's hospitals receive a lot of vital organs and rare types of blood from these very people, saving a lot of lives that would otherwise be lost. Moreover, SCP-2815 represents the first and only outright benign Sarka community we have yet encountered. Taking hostile action against them would make us lose unique research subjects as well as a potential strategic asset. Think of the medical benefits that could be drawn from studying them. With luck, we may even find something with which to counteract Sarkic Holocaust. Not to mention the knowledge there is to be gained about a culture and civilization that we know next to nothing about. Thus, as SCP-2815 is of singular importance to the Foundation's third mission, it is my professional opinion that they be left unmolested. Dr. Hideguchi Lajos, head researcher of SCP-2815. Afterward, comments on Expedition Psi-13, 2815, 1612, 1. Mission was a success. It's rare to have a milk run like that, even more so when dealing with Sarkites. A pleasant surprise. I'd like to extend a personal thanks to Dr. Narvaez and MTF Psi-13 for their invaluable efforts. Hideguchi's team of analysts have returned findings that have revealed the fruits of both the external and extra-dimensional trees of -5 to be composed entirely of human DNA. Same goes for their medical supplies and construction materials. We had D-class subjects try each fruit, who all reported no deviations from the real varieties. No test subject experienced any negative side effects, whether during or after the experiments. For all intents and purposes, these are just regular pieces of fruit. However, if what Dr. Narvaez has told me of these Sarkites is true, then we have all reason to believe that the fruits do indeed consist of real human tissue. I suspect they're merely transmuted via some anomalous process into their present states, in much the same way that -2 is able to transmute -4 into various building materials. In all cases, the results have proven indistinguishable from the real deal to every human sense and perception. It's also worth noting that the origin of their plentiful harvest had been unknown up until now, and I'm fairly certain that they all originate from -5. And this is the stuff SCP-2815 sells at farmers markets. In essence, they're making people eat other people. While it doesn't seem to be dangerous in any way, in fact, these fruits seem to have a higher nutritional value compared to their regular counterparts. I think nobody will disagree as to how disconcerting this is. For all we know, they might be using human sacrifices to produce these fruits. In light of this, I'm requesting an armed intervention to shut down these Sarkites and remove their products in the market. Hopefully we can prevent the entire county from being turned into unwitting cannibals and accomplices in murder. Signed, Major Milos Obrenovic, Commander of -5 Primary Containment Team, Detachment of MTF Epsilon 6. Response. Dear Major Obrenovic, I forwarded your missive to the higher-ups for decision, and it looks like it made it all the way up to the O5 Council and Office of the Undersecretary General. Sadly, they have both voted against direct intervention against SCP-2815, citing that they don't consider the issue grave enough to merit a military response. The official explanation reads as follows. We have received and read your missive, Major Obrenovic. Thank you for your concern. The SCP Foundation and Global Occult Coalition will make no direct armed response against SCP-2815 in light of these recent discoveries, nor will the Foundation or GOC take any hostile action against SCP-2815 until further notice. SCP-2815 constitutes a hitherto unique opportunity for the Foundation to study a Sarkic society in depth without risking the lives of its researchers and operatives. The value of this research is indispensable, and no matter how disquieting it is to be eating disguised human flesh, the disadvantages of intervention far outweigh the benefits under the current circumstances. Furthermore, the goods produced by SCP-2815 have proven highly beneficial despite their composition and speculated origins, and despite your claims, you have failed to uncover or present any evidence that they are actively harming human beings. Their intention, and particularly this tree of life, have proven nothing but benign, as your own agent below has continuously reported. Their blood and organs are tapped and harvested from a tree rather than human beings, which they donate to hospitals and charity, providing valuable commodities that help save human lives. We have here what is ostensibly a group of charitable Sarkites who not only don't wish to harm people but actively want to help them, an unprecedented discovery, and your first reaction is to destroy it? The order stands. Epsilon 6 and Psi 13 are to contain, not engage, SCP-2815 as per established Foundation containment procedures. This decision will not be reviewed until additional evidence is uncovered as to the origins of -6 and general purpose of SCP-2815. If you are dissatisfied with this decision, Major Abernovich, you may request reassignment to another project. Sincerely, General Hugo Solano Ramirez, GOC, Chief Commander of Citra Acra. General Natalia Kostrova, SCPF, Chief Commander of Citra Acra. Trust me when I say that I'm just as appalled at this decision as you are. Should you feel that your current posting won't allow you to make a difference, send me a signal. The Abyss Gazers could use men of your caliber, Abramovich. I can promise you more rewarding work than making people eat their own kind and babysitting a bunch of dangerous flesh crafters for the eggheads. We'd be glad to have you. Give it some thought. Best regards, Brigadier General Amelia Schornhorst, Regional Commander of Citra Acra Operations, Central European Theater. Footnotes 1. Mobile Task Force Epsilon 6 specializes in the investigation, containment, and subsequent cleanup of anomalies in rural and suburban environments. 2. Active primarily throughout Europe, the Esoteric Order of the White Worm is a Sarkic cult disguised as an occult-themed fraternal organization. Similar to other secret societies, the existence of the cult is an open secret, while its true nature is unknown to the general population. 3. Mobile Task Force Psi 13 is a highly classified Joint Foundation GOC task force designed for the infiltration of Sarkic organizations and the termination of high-threat members. Operatives are trained in counter-occult stratagems, COS, and the use of corrosive incendiary armaments. 4. Sarkicism, derived from the Greek sarx, or flesh, is a religious philosophical system that encompasses a variety of traditions, beliefs, and spiritual practices, largely based on teachings attributed to Grand Karcist Ion, its deified founder. Adherents practice ritual, cannibalism, human sacrifice, corporeal augmentation, thaumaturgy, dimensional manipulation, and the formation of pacts with other worldly entities. Organic manipulation has allowed certain Sarkites to achieve anomalous states of being, transcending the physical limitations of baseline humans. 5. The name for a cleric in Hungarian, paganism, and neo-paganism, similar to a shaman. 6. A form of torture and execution used in China and Vietnam from circa 900 AD until 1905, wherein a knife was used to methodically remove portions of the body over an extended period of time, eventually resulting in death, referred to within SCP-2815 as a Neuzo Zertartes, referenced in English as the flaying rite, or sometimes the rite of Neus. This is believed to be a historical relic practiced only in a figurative rather than a literal sense, entailing the ritualized peeling of a piece of fruit by an instance of -2. 7. Hungarian names are written in Eastern name order, meaning the surname precedes the given name. This article uses Eastern name order for such names. 8. Thus far, agents have encountered no mentions of Yaudabaoth or Vazjuma, the primary Sarkic deity, in SCP-2815. 9. Az-e literally translates to the hunger. Nioke appears to be a Hungarian rendition of the Sarkic entonym, Nauka, both of which derive from the Proto-Uralic root Neho. 10. A Sarkic cult historically active in the Kingdom of Hungary during the medieval and Renaissance periods. It was presumed destroyed during the 15th century by the Hungarian commander John Hunyadi, Hunyadianos. Historical evidence suggests that some Solomonari served as court magicians, advising their lords and ladies on matters of alchemy, medicine, astrology, and the occult. Several boyars of Wallachia and Moldavia, most notably the Gutkeld clan of Hungarian nobles, are now believed to have been under the control of the Solomonari, an influence that would lead to the development of Neo-Sarkicism and its western expansion. 11. Both believed to be Hungarian and Ihish corruptions of Sarkic Akuloth, respectively. 12. Known to Sarkites as an Akuloth and his sacred white worm, instances of SK biotype Z are symbolic organisms found in the bodies of both Sarkites and Sarkic organisms. It is believed they act as a secondary immune system, protecting the host against disease, as well as greatly increasing their regenerative abilities. SK biotype Z is also believed to be connected to the physical transformations some Sarkites undergo. 13. This is analogous to the Tautos Lo, or Tautos horse, of Hungarian paganism, which are regarded as spiritual partners of Hungarian pagan shamans. 14. A powerful psychedelic compound historically consumed by indigenous Amazonian Indian cultures for divinatory and healing purposes. 15. Hungarian rendition of Grand Karsus Ion. 16. Thus, let us take into ourselves our beloved companion. Let us eat their flesh. Let us drink their blood, that they may stay with us until the end of our time. This did the Grand Karsus Ion teach us, who was subjected to an intolerable force, who has seen the innumerable dead worlds, and who murdered death itself, who has read the entrails of our Creator, and glimpsed the eternity spread wide. We know that our paradise draws ever closer, and that only from our flesh can it be birthed. 17. Igig Erofa, an element of Hungarian shamanism and native faith, and a typical element of Hungarian folk art and folk tales. It is the Hungarian equivalent of the world tree and or tree of life, a cosmological motive common to many disparate belief systems throughout Eurasia. 18. The Mana Charitable Foundation is an interfaith humanitarian relief agency whose primary agenda is the free distribution of anomalous objects or their byproducts to civilians living in poverty-stricken religions in the Third World or in areas afflicted by warfare, famine, or natural disaster. 19. Mobile Task Force Psi-9, Abyss Gazers, is a battalion-strength force consisting of personnel from the Foundation and Global Occult Coalition, trained in unconventional warfare against invading enemies through the use of heavy artillery, DMT, enhanced perception, and counter-occult stratagems, COS. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-2815 is to be monitored on a 24-hour basis by members of MTF Epsilon 6, Village Idiots. Task Force agents are to periodically make visits to the village variously disguised as government and county officials, law enforcement officers, tourists, researchers, construction workers, and out-of-town service personnel. Agent below is to infiltrate SCP-2815 via initiating a romantic relationship with an instance of -1, designated -1-A, with the aim of marrying into the family, producing offspring, and, unless posing significant danger to containment, be officially inducted into the community. Agent below is then to record and/or document any anomalous or otherwise suspicious activity via any means possible and transfer the data to Foundation researchers for analysis and study. Agents Hegedus, Columpar, and Lagados are to make contact and attain a working level of trust with the local Roma community, whereupon they will be co-opted into surveillance operations. Revision, the 24th of June 2016. As SCP-2815 has proven to be largely self-containing, focus will shift into monitoring any activity by and limiting the influence of GOI-0385 within the village of and Heves County as a whole. This task is delegated to MTF Psi-13 Witch Hunters due to their infiltrators already being established within GOI-0385 for surveillance. The new primary goal is to prevent the radicalization of SCP-2815 by GOI-0385. Data sharing between relevant Epsilon-6 and Psi-13 detachments to facilitate containment has been approved and mandated by the O5 Council. Revision, the 13th of December 2016. Following data gained from Expedition Psi-13 2815-1612-1, MTF Epsilon-6 is to observe all harvests made by SCP-2815 and track all shipments of produce and medical supplies originating from requisitions for specimens for research purposes can be made with either head researcher Dr. Hidekuti Lajos or ranking Citra Aqua personnel. Acquisition of specimens is to be made by Epsilon-6 plainclothes operations under the guise of ordinary customers. Additional funds, materials, and manpower is to be made available to the local Epsilon-6 detachment in order to achieve these goals.